Yeah, absolutely excited to have Sam Gellerstein of Snacktime on the podcast today. Man, how have things been going for you?
Things have been going great, man. Thank you so much for having me. And things have been busy and crazy as ever. We're in the studio like most days, working on demos and trying to get, you know, more beautiful music out there. But it's a dream, man. Every day is awesome, and we're getting all sorts of crazy bookings for this year, and everything's going really well.
Yeah, so we were kind of talking off screen about kind of how the band got started, but I would love, just, let's hear the story on the start of Snacktime and how it's kind of progressed through today.
Yeah. So actually, we're coming up on the year anniversary of, or sorry, year, the 6 year anniversary of this. Yeah, 6 year
Totally feels
anniversary.
like that. Yeah.
It's the 6 year anniversary of the event that I started called Snack Time back before the band was a band. I have a lot of ties to the food and drink world in Philadelphia, and I worked with another chef. Her name is Jen Zavala, and we were doing this event that was going to be highlighting local musicians that maybe were not like the front person of their band. They're more like the side men and side people of the scene, working with chefs that were more like lesser known, like they weren't the head chef of their restaurant. They weren't. So we were doing like collaborative restaurant and band stuff. The first one sold out. It was awesome. And then we planned the next one for the next month. It was going to be a monthly thing, and then COVID started. So that was the end of snack time in that iteration. So throughout the obviously the pandemic, there wasn't a lot of music going on live. There was lots of like over Zoom jam sessions and people recording on their stuff. And, I had done countless amounts of that. But the outdoor dining restrictions started to lift. And then that same chef, Jen, she hit me up to put together some entertainment to entertain people while they're outside waiting in line for her food. And, I didn't have a generator or any means to put power. So I figured the best way would be put together a band with horns. So in the beginning stages of Snack Time, we were sort of this horn band, brass band that would just go out and play a bunch of covers in the streets. So we started there, and then basically we're in the park 2 or 3 days a week, just busking. And we were really the only music happening live in Philly because there was no venues open. So we started to draw crowds. It started from 10 people to 20 people. Towards the end, I feel like 300 people were coming to the park to come see us play. So it sort of started to beg the question of like what we wanted to do with this, because we never really had the plan of like this is going to be a band that's going to be touring the country, et cetera, et cetera. We just were like having fun. So from there, we started to get festival bookings that they wanted us to come be like to march around or whatever. And we were like, hey, that's cool, but can we play a set? So we always kind of from the beginning knew we wanted to be something a little different than like I think what normal brass bands would be um asked to do. So we were starting to be able to put ourselves on stage and focus on writing original music. And now over the past couple of years, the band has really kind of mutated into something that's less recognizable than what it was at the beginning. Like we still maintain the same tenets of like making people dance, maybe making people have fun, gathering people, but like at this point, there's a lot less horn stuff happening. We feature the horns in a much different way. Is it's I'm playing bass now instead of the tuba, and we're trying to really have people listen to the music for what it is versus just kind of assuming it sounds like what it looks like, if that makes sense. So we're really excited, and the music's been going over really well, and the new sound over the past couple of years has been really effective, and it's been a real amazing journey getting to do this. It's almost like a second life in the band, you know?
Yeah, yeah, the ability to like again, kind of like we talked about off camera to like push for this, this dream or, something that you didn't even realize was in front of you and put in this hard work and put in this time and have it grow into something now where you've gotten to, tour across on the West Coast and you're going to be touring on the East Coast. It must be really like, rewarding and I think I kind of fall in that same boat. It's really interesting, like, to have that unexpected opportunity kind of fall in your lap, and what you guys are doing with it is amazing, honestly.
Yeah. It's so cool, and it's, you know, after, in the beginning, it was unexpected, but I feel like now, uh, Snack Time is a band that we know what we want. Like, we're not like, we're not ready for the spotlight, if that makes sense. Like, we so badly want to show everyone how amazing Philadelphia is and, like, what, how sick the music we're working on is, and, like, we're not arrogant, but we're confident in knowing that we put on an amazing show, and
Mhm.
we are so proud of what we do, and I think that, like, we are humble enough to know that we are so lucky to be in the situation that we're in, because lots of bands do this and have not been able to get to the heights that we have, but we're not even close to done yet, you know?
Yeah.
And
Y-
so we're also, you know, we recognize the work and the hours and the days and the thousands of gigs we've played at this point, um, to know that it is a lot of hard work that got us here too.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in that sense too. I mean, you talked about putting up, together a lot of new music. Let's talk about some of the music that you have put out recently. You got to work with Devon. I always say his last name wrong. Gilfillian.
Gilfillian,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. What was that process like, and how cool is it to kind of have someone wanting to be, or being a part of the music y'all are making?
So yeah, I mean, we did a version of our song together with Devin, and I think the coolest thing about that is that, like, it's so kind of like Snack Time is. Like, we met Devin through a friend of mine named Ray Mason, who's a trombone player. He played Newport Folk Festival with Devin, and he called me. He's like, "Yo, this guy Devin, he's from your area. His brother's moving to Philly. You got to meet these guys. They're the nicest people I've ever met. It's the best gig I've ever played in my life. It was amazing." So we met we met his brother Ryan and also met Devin and became super quick friends. When we first met, a bunch of the horn guys sat on stage with him during the Exponential Festival for WXPM, and little by little we were continuing the friendship. And now at this point, like, we are homies. Like, he and I got ramen together with Nico, the singer of the band, in San Francisco when he was in town. So it's like these are our like long-term friends, but the relationship started just by like, yo, you got to meet this guy, and then it's awesome. Devin is so talented, and he's added so much, and his drummer and manager, John Small, also assisted on the production for that, and they really were able to, I think, take a song that was good and make it better. And
Yeah.
we've been able to kind of take our original version and the version that we came up together, and that's kind of what you'll hear live, which is almost a different experience either way. So it's awesome. They're so talented, and I know he's working on dropping a new record this year. So make sure you guys keep eyes open for that Devin Gilfillian new record. It's super, super good.
Yeah. So maybe even we got a little ahead of, or I got ahead of myself a little bit. So for people who haven't heard of Snack Time or listened to any music from you guys, what would you describe your sound as? And we talked about this like kind of feel good sound, but what else kind of goes into a Snack Time song?
So something that I always say about Snack Time is that the coolest thing about the band is that we're a band of 7 people that all come from different musical backgrounds. Like, I grew up in the punk and ska and hardcore scene, and with with an absolute love for music like Earth, Wind and Fire. But then there's other guys in the band who grew up on gospel music and grew up in like 90s R&B, and there's other guys who grew up on like, folk music or soul music, and like it's all kind of comes together in this like really cool center which we're finding. And I think for a long time we were sort of like exploding in different directions and making a lot of different kinds of music, but I think as we've been in the studio so intensely over the past year and a half, I think that we're really finding this way to make all those sounds into one beautiful thing that is not confusing. And I'm really proud of us because it's not an easy thing to do, to put, your personal biases aside or what you specifically grew up listening to. But what we're finding is that the music that we're making is almost this perfect blend of everything that we love, which is really cool. I think that like um our three like guiding lights of the band have always been D'Angelo, rest in peace, Prince, rest in peace, and Parliament, Funkadelic. And I think where we're sort of adding in the new inspiration from is like Phil Collins, but also by that way, McGee and Dijon are really a part of that, and the 1975. And we're kind of like blending all those things into like a music that where we are blending the sounds of rock, funk, and pop all together. And every single song, the slider might be a little bit higher on one of them,
Mhm.
but it's sort of that perfect blend of all three of those genres.
Yeah. So, in terms of like, so when you guys are writing songs, right? Is it with all these, different pieces kind of informing the sound you're making? Is it a super collaborative process in terms of what you're putting together, or is somebody kind of like, taking the lead and kind of trying to guide the direction a little bit?
Yeah, I think that there's a couple of us who have like a little bit more of an active role in their songwriting, but I think that sort of where the magic of snack time happens is that hypothetically, I write a song, I bring it to the band, or even not even write a song in full. I'll start in the studio. I'll get in an hour early. I'll start a song. Someone will roll in, say Eric will roll in on guitar, and he'll be like, "Oh, cool, let me add this to it." And then Austin, the drummer, will be like, "Oh, that drum beat's pretty cool, but let me try this." And it's sort of like we take these versions of these songs, which may be, you know, on more rudimentary versions of the things that, like hypothetically I can play, or maybe Mike can play, or anyone can play, and everyone is taking their specific point of view on their instrument and incorporating it in that song, which makes it so much better. So, yes, the songs may be started from a group of us, but the songs become snack time once everyone puts their own personality into it and onto it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that makes sense. And with so many personalities, I think having listened through a bunch of your guys' stuff, it feels like it shines through, especially on the newer stuff.
Yeah,
Um,
we're really proud of those new ones. And there's actually another one coming out at midnight tonight, which will be
nice.
featured on a new ESPN 30 for 30 documentary called The Philly Special. It's our song called Who's Been Stopping You, which
Hmm.
is definitely, if we're talking about those three sliders, it's more on the rock funk side, but it's really, really cool. And we were super excited for it to be featured in such a large stage as well.
Yeah.
It's talking about the Philadelphia Eagles, which Philadelphia sports are big for us. So it's cool.
Yeah. Being from Philly, or not being from Philly, but like feeling like, you're a part of Philly at this point in time in your life, and, being able to be featured on something like that, that's amazing. And for you guys, like, what is, you kind of mentioned how what Philly sports means to you, but like, does that, tie back into, the music y'all are making? Is it, your Spotify, bio is all y'all in Sixers jerseys, or, inspired Sixers jerseys?
Yeah.
Do Philly sports really, I don't want to say inspire your music, but, play a role in that?
I would say the city of Philadelphia inspires our music. Philly sports are also so inherently Philadelphia.
Yeah,
They're so like insane and mercurial. Like it's like you look at the Eagles who won the Super Bowl last year. This year they got knocked out of the playoffs. But if you listen to sports radio, they go from being just the best team in the world to like, fire everybody, they all suck. But like
sure.
it's because they love so intensely. Philadelphia is the town that will say, you know, if they see you on the side of the road or something, they'll be like, "Oh, you fucking idiot! Like, what are you? Sorry, I don't want to curse. You
You're good.
idiot! Like, you popped your tire. Let me come help
Yeah,
you." Versus like in other cities where they'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to see that." Like, oh, but like the people in Philadelphia will pull over and they'll help you and they'll give you, they'll bust your balls for it. But it's really cool. It's a very proud city of the things that they have, and where obviously I don't think he gets the shine of a New York or a Los Angeles or a, any one of the Chicago or whatever. I think Philadelphia has so much special beauty to it, and I think that does inform our music because we, without sounding too dramatic, we come into every situation sort of with a slight chip on our shoulder, not to like, be aggressive to anybody, but we want to show everyone like when people say like, "Oh, who's this band that we've never heard of?" We want them to recognize very quickly like why we're here.
yeah,
And I think that that comes from Philly. Like that's a Philly thing to kind of be like, prove it. So we're
yeah,
really proud of it, and we're really proud of the city that we come from, and we wouldn't be here without the support of Philadelphia. Like I said before, back in the day when we were just playing in the street, if we didn't have the people who just came out and loved us and supported us, we would never have the confidence to say, "Hey, let's go get on that festival. Let's write this music. Let's go on tour with this band." So without Philly, we're really nowhere.
Yeah, I always it's really hard to explain to people who have never been or you know spent time there that it is like a super proud city, a super like a little bit of a chip, yeah, but it is
Yeah.
and it's not like a you know in a bad way either. It's just like we know who we are kind of deal, and you know you're gonna take it or leave it kind of situation. It feels like a lot of times. You know, you mentioned too, kind of being able to tour and get out on the West, and you know, what's that been like touring with somebody like Electric Guest, and you know, how has that you know changed your guys' approach to music?
Yeah, I mean, so we, like I said before, going from the first, I feel like where the band is just over 5 years old at this point, and the first 3 years were very much about like playing every single thing inside of Philadelphia. And at the end of the first 3 years, we had our first like album party where we, the beginning of 2022, we had this party, and then the middle of 2022, we released the record and had like a big sellout show at Brooklyn Bowl. And I think that towards the end of that year, we were like, okay, we should reach out to finding a manager and to finding a booking agent to kind of take this thing a little bit further than I think we knew how to. Cause like so much of what we did was based on like relationships. Yo, my homie has this restaurant, let's do this thing. And we were working like crazy. But, you know, the next 2 years, by getting all these connections, we're able to really open up a lot of the national picture for us. And that's how, when we met our managers later on, they hooked us up with the people that they had worked with before, Portugal the Man. And we did about, I think, over the course of 2024, we did about 2.5 months of touring with them, and that was amazing. We played Red Rocks with them. We played all over the place. It was magic, and that's where we met Asa from Electric Guest. And I think that as you start getting added to this pool, it gets you more excited. It kind of like, if you want to look at it from a negative way, it kind of, the goalpost keeps moving at your what you think success can be, but it also keeps you driven because like, there was a time where we were happy to just be anywhere, but now it's like every single time we get to a bigger stage and we're supporting somebody, we're like, well, no, we want to be there now. So it keeps us hungry. It's exciting. It's so crazy to see the world in that way. I do all the driving because I love to drive. And just to see the country through a windshield is so crazy because like you could never really accurately describe what it feels like to be in New Mexico without going there and seeing, like, what it looks like in the middle of New Mexico, or, like, what it's like to drive through these crazy hills in Arizona, and, like, it's amazing. It's a really special thing, especially to do with your people, to do it with the people that you started this thing with, and, like, you were glad to be where you were, and just to see the whole world that way is so cool, and, the hunger continues and exponentially grows every day.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that the driving and like the you know seeing the country in that kind of way for sure. Like when me and my friend go on a road trip, it feels like every year to we tour all the NFL stadiums,
That's cool.
and I am like the driver, right? So like I could do 10, 12 hours straight and just be be cool. So I feel that on a deep level, being able to see the country through a windshield is a interesting way of viewing life and leaves you this weird time to think and
Yeah,
understand
it
things
gets me off
and
gets me off my phone.
yeah
I
right
could be on my phone all day if I, getting to be just driving and not being able to be on Instagram or anything like that and just listen to podcasts and books is super helpful for my ADHD riddled brain. So it's actually in a way therapeutic, I think.
yeah what so in terms of maybe even with touring with Portugal the Man or with Electric Guests, what's like the biggest thing as a band that you guys have taken away from it?
I think the biggest thing from touring that we've sort of learned is how important it feels to be in a band or a community where it's familial. There are some bands that we've gone on tour with, like another cool group we went on tour with, Fist and the Tantrums, another great vibe. Everyone's they have a big like end of the week party where they all grill and barbecue together. It's awesome. And there's been other bands that we worked with and play with where it's a little bit more isolated, not in a bad way because people need their space, but like the vibe of being on tour with a band that brings you in, like Portugal the Man, and makes you feel like family, just makes the experience so much better. Because it's really tough to be, especially for us who are chasing the bus and driving 10 hours to go to the venue, to drive 2 hours. It's like going to the venue and it feels like weird and isolation-ish is really not great. So, like, when you get to a when you provide a space to make it feel like home wherever you are, even if it's in another green room, I think that that's really important. To
Yeah.
always try to have a good time and always try to give yourself some joy every day. And that's, like, why, me and Ben are in the front seat every day. Whatever city we're in, we try to find the best food they have in that city, because if you're going around eating fast food every day and only seeing the insides of chain restaurants and rest stops, it can get dark. So I think providing yourself some joy every day is super important. But also, like I said, on the flip side, finding your time for personal space is very important too, because, you know, it's also hard to be on top of each other. So it's the balance of like communing so you maintain the love for each other, but also giving yourself the space so that time feels special.
Yeah. Yeah. That
And drink more water than you think. And piss when you have to. Pee when you have to, because
facts.
I pee at every single opportunity, because there's nothing worse than being in the middle of some state where you're like, there's not a rest stop for 126 miles.
It's the
And
worst.
like, you can go obviously piss on the side of the road, but then you have to stop and then you're going to be late. Always pee when you have to.
Sound road trip advice for sure. In terms of yeah, this balance that you kind of talk about and the familial aspect of it, like how is snack time, like you guys started 6 years ago, not all as strangers, but like how is your family grown in that space since, like that snack time family? Have you guys become obviously you become a lot closer, but how is that relationship grown over time?
Yeah, I mean, I think this year has been really special for us. There was a slight change up in personnel, and it was a tough time for everybody involved. And I think that with the inclusion of our new singer Nico Bryant, I think it's been great, because it was, like I said, a tough time to go through that, but we really got a lot tighter from that situation, 'cause it's hard. It's hard to go day to day, and we see each other. We're not a band that, like, sees each other only for shows. We are in the studio every single day. We
Right.
see each other 5, 6 days a week, like, it's a full-time job, so, um, it brought us really tight, and I think that we communicate better than we ever have. We are working better than we ever have, and I think that it's all just a matter of living, learning, and knowing how to communicate with each other, and,
Hmm.
you know it's funny, I always say this, it's like being in a romantic relationship, except for, the part that you obviously aren't doing,
Right.
but, like,
Right.
because you have to really know your partners, and they're all partners in some way, you have to know, like, what pisses them off, what makes them happy, what makes them crazy, what makes them chill, like, and I think that understanding how to address everyone, and how someone people know what to not do to me, I know what to not do to them, and I think that makes for a much happier place when you know how to work with these people that are your family, it's a really smart thing to do, to really get to
Yeah.
know these people.
Yeah, I think that makes sense for anything. I think when you're spending that kind of time around people, you have to, for it to even be remotely successful, right? So a fun one I usually like to try to get into is specific to your music taste, right? What are 4 or 5 albums, if you were teaching a music class? What are like 5 albums that would be required listening based off of that inform like your taste and your uh
Yeah.
you know
No, yeah, that's a good question. I would say in terms of the ones I always go back to, Purple Rain, Prince, um, I would say D'Angelo's Voodoo, I would say Turnstiles, Nonstop Feeling, Bon Iver, Self-Titled, and maybe Trouble Will Find Me by The National. I sort of live in that world where it's like I'm in between, like, the sad guy
right.
music and the hardcore music, but also the funk stuff. No, I changed that to High Violet, actually. I changed it to High Violet by The National. Those 5 I think are very informative of my taste, and there's so much more as well. Like, I've
Yeah.
been crazy into the Dijon records and crazy into the McGee stuff right
Mhm.
now, and also, Hello, I Must Be Going, Phil Collins is amazing, but I think those are the 5 that really, if we're talking about the history of Sam Gellerstein music, it's that.
Yeah. Love that. Yeah, that was that's probably the quickest I think
Uh,
anybody's answered that. Usually
but
it's
but this is why it's hard because, like, American Idiot is American Idiot, Fever
right.
You Can't Sweat Out, Under the Cork Tree, those records informed everything. Streetlight Manifesto, like, that's why it's hard. It's like
It's
the
tough.
it's easier to skate over the, like, "Oh, yeah, like, I wasn't obsessed with this Streetlight Manifesto record because, like, for some reason, I'm, like, trying to, like, hide my ska side even though I'm
Yeah.
obviously not." But, like, yeah, like, somewhere in the between, Streetlight Manifesto is a record that if I'm tired on the road, I will blast that and know every single word, every single horn part. So, yeah, like, those are, I think that's Sam at 32, I gave you those, and I think that
Yeah.
there's Sam at 18, and it's all over the place. Yeah, I think I answered too fast, but I'm gonna stick with him.
You're good. Yeah, you're fine. I think it's tough. It's like it's almost an impossible question because you're right. Like, our music taste changes over time, right? And like albums that we've found, pivotal at age, 15, 16 are not the same albums we find pivotal in our 30s, and it's never going to be that way. It's always going to change.
Another big one, Tony Hawk Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2.
Crazy
There's so
soundtrack.
much on it, but I remember the first time I heard, Guerrilla Radio,
Yeah,
Rage Against the
Rage
Machine,
Against the
that
Machine.
freaking, and I think Anthrax,
Yeah,
Public Enemy is on that one
yeah.
too. So, like, that's a crazy grip of music as well, so.
That whole soundtrack is a absolutely insane soundtrack, and to be kind of gifted that as kids,
Yeah, man, it really makes me miss the time where, like, I don't know, like, I think about I still play video games, and, like, it's so uninvolved with the experience at this point that, like, it's sad because, like, I wanna get snack time in an NHL game, I wanna get snack
be
time on a Tony
sick.
Hawk game,
Yeah,
but it's like, I feel like it's not given the same. It's so geared towards just, like, get online and go spend money on everything that,
yeah,
like, the experience of, like, because we listen to this music because 'cause you're playing Madden 2004 and you're in the menus and you're in Tony Hawk and you're skating around, and it's like, that music was so important because 'cause they've really
yeah,
picked it, and I feel like now they pick it, but, like, I don't know if it's appreciated the same, and I don't know where I'd be without that experience of having the first time you skate down the ramp in Tony Hawk 1 and you hear Goldfinger by Superman by Goldfinger, and it's like, I feel that in my
sick.
spine, you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, yeah. It's like, I mean, geez, like Good Charlotte, the anthem is like
Yeah,
a song from Madden that I just will always have in my head, and I think maybe the closest thing nowadays that comes to it is like the FIFA soundtracks. Like I feel like
yeah,
they put that kind of time into that. But you're right. I think it is a lot of an afterthought. But man, if it didn't inform a lot of of my childhood in a lot of ways,
yeah.
like
But I think
um,
that's cool where you come in now, man, because it's like there's lots of people watching your platform, and
yeah,
they are now gonna get that opportunity where if there's younger kids who have no idea what those games are or have never played them, like, maybe they'll check it out and maybe look at that same experience, and while it's not the same, I still think there's many ways to discover it. I think it's just a little harder to find.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I quick looked up the one of the songs from Pro Skater 2 that I always like, "When Worlds Collide" by Powerman 5000. Like, what a
Na na
song!
na
Like,
na na,
like crazy
na.
song,
Yeah.
absolutely crazy song to have on that. Yeah, those soundtracks were, even apart from those ones, like the Madden ones or the NHL ones, those were really fun.
I think that's, like, I don't know if we're off topic here, but I just wanna talk about it. Like, I was listening to a really cool interview about "Kiss from a Rose," right? By Seal, and that song was dropped, no one cared about it. It was like, whatever, and then Joel Schumacher heard it and was like, "I'm gonna put it in the movie." It didn't make it to the movie, but he liked it so much that he put it in the credits, right? And at this point, how many movie title credits have been, like, gone, like, platinum or whatever, but, like, for some reason in that time, people, like, sat around for the credits, and they heard that, and it went off and, like, changed his life, and I think that's so cool, just, like, because by the time the credit comes along, people are already on their phone looking up
Yeah,
the ending meanings and whatever, and they're not really
sure.
listening, but, like, that's so sick. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, the music placement in like movies and TV shows and documentaries is like an underrated, I think, place for artists to find some traction, and even for you guys like on the 30 for 30 documentary. I think it's huge to have any type of sync like that. I feel like it matters
Yeah,
more than people realize.
we've had a couple cool ones with Taco Bell as well. Um, and we've had a couple with ESPN, a couple with Taco Bell, and we're always grateful for it.
Yeah. So maybe thinking to the entire snack time discography, right? It's not it's still in the works, obviously, but what song, maybe off of it are you most proud of?
I think that a lot like I have so much love and respect for the old stuff, and I
Mhm.
think that obviously we wouldn't be having this conversation without us going through that experience of making that music now. But I think that we're so excited about all the new stuff that the newest thing is always the most thing I'm most excited about. I was super happy with how Sunshine came out. I was super happy with how Enough came out. And I think that Who's Been Stopping You, we also have a B-side on that. It's our cover of Fly Like an Eagle, the Steve Miller song. Uh it always just sounds better because we're just always getting better. So the newest thing is always what I'm most excited about. But I would say if there's one song to check out, I would say Enough or Sunshine for sure, and check out our newest
Yeah.
one,
Yeah.
which is gonna be great too.
Amazing. So we kind of touched on it. I live in music curation, so I always ask to give me a song or a project that you have been into. It doesn't have to be something underrated, but just something Sam's been enjoying.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a little I'm gonna take a beat on this one just for a second because I feel like I answered so quickly the last time.
You're good.
But, a project or okay. I recently got put onto another artist called Nourished by Time. I think he's absolutely amazing, and I'm sure by the time people get to this, he'll be even bigger than he is. But like right now, he's sort of on the smaller side. His music is so dope. His music is so cool. But also like if you haven't listened to Pet Sounds, which sounds like oh everyone's heard Sloop John B, everyone's heard God Only Knows, but listen to that whole record, and that's like I don't know. I don't think you can get better than that.
Yeah.
Beach Boys Pet Sounds is such an incredible record. Like, it's so perfect, and every single time you listen to it, you catch something else with your ear, and I think that's so interesting that, like, it's not often that an artist is able to create a concept that is pretty fucking strange and also it's undeniably some of the best songs I've ever written in American history. Like,
Right.
you know, this isn't on that record, but you listen to Good Vibrations by the Beach Boys, and that is a weird song. It's strange, it has a ton of key changes, but it's so undeniable in its song that no one has anything to say about it, other than that's a beautiful song, and I think that all artists, if they're able to, find the thing that not only that makes them strange, but also listenable, that's the dream, something that makes
Yeah.
them different. Yeah, I would say dig more into the music of Brian Wilson, dig into Nourished by Time, and also just, like, in general, if anyone's listening out there, like, don't wait. Don't wait to discover. Like, I feel like it's really easy for a band to be written up by, Pitchfork or, talked about by Rolling Stone, but, like, l go out there and find the music. Find it, m make it cool because when I grew up, I was finding all my music on Last FM, which is an old streaming service that would randomly generate you songs. And I've still listened to some of those records that I found, and they weren't big bands, and some of them got huge and some of them didn't, but I think there's something so cool about going and finding the music yourself before it's it's sort of spoon-fed to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
And
And I
I'm sure
think,
that that's what you do, like,
yeah,
and that's why you're so successful in what you do is that you find what makes you passionate, and I think that's a special thing.
yeah, and I think, especially as you get older, we're both in our 30s. I think it's easy to get complacent about it, right? I think it's easy to, chalk it up like life is insanely busy. I don't have time for this. I don't have time for that. But um, I think it's underrated the amount of joy you could find in finding something that you're truly like into before somebody's like, oh, you should check this out. Like, um, I think it's there is for me especially there's a level of like crazy enjoyment out of finding something that nobody's mentioned before, and that I found on my own, and it's like a weird level of pride that comes with it. Um, it keeps I feel like it keeps you young a little bit. You're not stuck in this nostalgia of the music you grew up with.
Yeah,
Obviously I have a special place in my heart for bands like Linkin Park and music like that, but it's not. I'll go back and listen sometimes, but it doesn't inform. It's not my
yeah.
taste now, right?
Yeah, no, and I actually had a very interesting conversation, with, I'm not sure if you're familiar, his name is Josh Carpe, AKA Cautious Clay, he's an amazing
Mm,
artist.
yeah,
We were hanging out, and we just had this conversation about, like, the concept of gift giving, right? And I think that my favorite thing about finding new music is sharing that with people, like, I think there's something so special about hearing something and being like, "You're gonna love this.
yeah,
I know you will love this because I know who you are," and I think that that's a small gift you can give to somebody, and
yeah,
I know it's really hard because, like, how many times has someone been like, "Listen to this record," and you're like, "Yeah," and then it goes by, but just, just trying to do it and, sharing that thing because not only not only does it help the band, obviously, it helps
right,
bands to for people to be driving their music up themselves, but I think it helps you too because it helps you sort of break out from the quote unquote algorithm, you know? And don't get me wrong, we've benefited from the algorithm and we've
sure,
whatever, but finding things your own is like the coolest thing. And
yeah,
I think everyone should feel like a curator of their friend group. And I think that
yeah.
that makes your life more exciting.
Yeah, I think, two things to that, like the idea behind people like gatekeeping music, man, what are we doing there? You should
Preach.
want you should want your favorite artist to blow up. You should. Like in every stretch of the imagination. Like I understand ticket prices and stuff and things like that, but if you truly believe in the music that these people are making, you should want them to be something. Um
Absolutely.
and yeah, there's no more thoughtful gift than knowing somebody to a point where you're like, yeah, you'll love this. And, that is as thoughtful a gift as you could possibly give, in my mind, at least. Obviously biased, because of the life I live at the moment. But, yeah, I think, you're right. Find music you love, find music you're passionate about, share it with the people you're passionate about, and, only good things can happen.
Yeah, but music's that gift. It sounds so corny, but music is the gift that keeps on giving, right? There's records that got me through breakups in high school that I still go back to when I'm having a hard time.
Yep.
I hear here, there, and everywhere, and I think, when I miss my mom, she lives in Florida, like, I don't, get to see her as often. I hear here, there, everywhere, and I hear that, I'm like, "Shit," like, that reminds me of listening to this in your car or listening to,
Yep.
like, a Bruce Springsteen track and thinking about sitting in my dad's car when I was, like my dad's yellow truck when I was in 1st grade.
Yeah.
Like, that's something that it's like, you can give somebody this thing that they could hear and potentially could give them perspective on a situation they're having a hard time with, and or giving them a memory of, "Damn, after I heard this song, I met the love of my life," and then you'll always remember that, like,
Hmm.
because music is encoded in that way, like, there's a reason people like it so much.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're not wrong at all. There's a countless memories I have tied to specific songs and people, and it's a fun way of uh yeah, just kind of holding on to those things. So I guess in kind of wrapping up, uh what can we expect for Snack Time? Do you guys have an album coming out? I know you're doing a little East Coast run here.
Yeah.
What's coming up?
We will be all over the country this year, playing a lot of different festivals, still booking a bunch of them, but we're doing a lot of events with, the World Cup coming up, the All-Star Game, in Philly. We're gonna be coming out with a bunch of new music. We'll definitely have an album ready by the end of this year, and just keep it locked, keep in touch. We are always down to talk and answer questions and just be closer to the people who love and appreciate us. Like, I think
Yeah.
it's really important for fans to know, like, there's some people who don't like to talk to fans, but you'll see it every single show we do. If not all of us, most of us will be at the merch table signing records, talking to people because I think that's what it's all about. And I think that you can never be, I will never be at a point in my career where I won't want to talk to at least some people because like I said before, without the fans, there is no us. Just keep in touch. We love you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, man, I appreciate you taking time out of your day to talk to me. And yeah, I'll definitely have to catch you guys at some point.
Yeah,
We're
dude.
close enough.
I'm not sure where the closest place to you is. I mean, we actually played in Harrisburg. We played in Harrisburg, which might have been close to you. But if you
Yeah.
ever want to come to a show, man, hit us up.